January 28, 2021. This is episode 159, the Gamestop Short Squeeze. This is the 39.6 Facebook and YouTube live finance show. The show that teaches high earners like yourselves how to make your money work for you so you don't have to work for your money. We talk general investing, taxes, real estate, syndications, Airbnb, paying for college, paying for childcare, and even the car you drive. We welcome Pinky back to the show. Pinky hasn't been here all year. She still exists. She's here for my Explain It Like I'm 5 episode of the GameStop Short Squeeze. Okay. This is like absolute craziness. Okay. I mean, I can't believe how much people are talking about this financial thing. It's a pretty cool story, but it's really confusing to people who aren't familiar with the topic of shorting or short selling and of a short squeeze. I actually had not heard the formal term short squeeze. Suicide squeeze is like my favorite play in baseball, but that is like, this is a little different. Okay. Thank you for everybody joining. If you're out there, you can hear me, see me, please let me know in the chat box. See if this chat box will work. Let me know where you are coming from. I might not be getting messages, but we'll check it out. Okay. So first of all, people are making a bunch of money and losing a bunch of money. Okay, the hedge funds are losing a lot. A company called Melvin Capital needed $3 billion of cash from their competing hedge funds to basically prevent them from going bankrupt. And this was done by a bunch of people on the internet, which is nuts. Okay, so I'm going to go through this kind of slowly, not talk shop with all these weird terms because that just gets really confusing. So here's Pinky, okay? Pinky is a robot, and we're going to rewind to 2020 and exactly a year ago. Back at that time, Pinky was like, hey, I'm in the mood to buy an N95 mask. Shazam. This is a real legit N95 mask. Okay. Maybe technically I shouldn't even have this here. But these are legit N95 masks. Okay. Still sealed up, can still be used for medical use. At that time, January 2021, the value of an N95 mask was what it had been probably for the past like decade. Let's just say $1 per mask, okay? Which I think is a very reasonable price for an N95 mask. Makes it really easy because Pinky over here only has $5 to her name, and it's interesting. She's like a toy, but she has real money. And then she also has some like blue M&Ms because we don't have coins, okay? And coins also make a bunch of noise. So she's got $5 and some blue M&Ms, which are like coins. And she wants a mask. So she is going to go buy a mask. And she's going to pay the regular $1 price for the mask. Okay, so she goes and she buys. For me, I'm going to be like the banker, the store, if you will, also known as like a broker. Okay, but she's going to buy a mask for $1. And now she has a mask and $4 and some coins. All right. Now, she has the mask and she can use the mask, and the mask can provide her a benefit. It can help protect her. Okay. It won't really pay her money, but she could use it. Now, over time, this pandemic happens. And now, suddenly, just 2 months later, the end of March, the value of this mask has gone up through the roof. Okay? She can't buy it for $1 anymore. The market price, well, heck, you can't even really find them online because they've taken all N95 masks off of every website, and now like the government is taking control of the where they go. Okay, but there's always like a black market price for something. Okay, so let's pretend on the black market, an N95 mask at this point is now worth $10 a mask. Actually, probably pretty reasonable because N95 masks were in such high demand that people were bidding against each other to get them. Like I think states and were even potentially competing like with other states and whatnot to get masks, and it just drove the values up higher, which is why the government had to basically take control of the supply, because now they're paying really inflated prices from all these people who had a hoard of masks that basically bought them all and then sold them at an appreciated price, a higher price. That's how a lot of people invest in stocks. They buy it low and they plan to sell it high. Okay, so now it sells it for $10, okay, to somebody else. Actually, the other buyer here only has $5. So we're gonna say that she now sells it for $5. Okay, so to this guy over here, Mr. Dinosaur. Okay, so now Mr. Dinosaur has the mask and Pinky now has $5. So now instead of having the $5 she started with, she has $9. Okay, Pinky made out really good. She basically doubled her money in 2 months. That is how most people invest, and that is what people call going long on a company. You're buying it and holding it, planning to hold it because you think it's going to give you returns. It'll like make you money by holding on to it. It'll go up in value or give you dividends, but in particular, we're going to say go up in value. Okay, so that when you sell it, you have more money than you started with. That's an incredible investment, doubling your money in 2 months. That is the traditional way people think about making money with an investment. Okay, so that's going long. Now we are going to reset this situation. Okay, we're going to go back and we're going to give the $5 back over here to the dinosaur. $4 and 1 mask. Okay, to Pinky. So now, Mr. Dinosaur now is not a very nice person. He is an evil, shrewd investor. He wants to make money literally at the cost of other people. Okay? He wants other people to lose to make money. Or rather, he finds people he thinks are going to lose, or finds companies he thinks are going to lose money, and uses that to make money. It's just the exact opposite process of buying, holding, and selling. It's the exact opposite. And this is how he's going to make money. Okay, so now let's pretend this mask, okay, this mask that Pinky had, bought it for $1, okay? Well, let's pretend that Pinky actually spent all 5 of her dollars to buy the mask, because that's how much they're going for now, because we just found out about the pandemic and they're not out yet, but for $5 you can get one N95 mask, and you're gonna hold on to this mask and use it for like a whole year. I think a lot of us can relate to that, using like the same mask forever. Okay, but so she has the mask for $5 and is using it. But this guy here says, I don't think that price, that super high price that Pinky paid, he thinks the price is gonna go down. He says that $5 price is only for right now because we're in short supply. He thinks that once more masks are made, and look, we have all these extra masks being made, once there's more supply, then the price will go down because people can't afford $5 a mask. So what he's going to do is he's going to ask Mr. Pinky, can I borrow the mask. Okay, but Pinky says, I'm not going to let you borrow it for free. I'm going to charge you a small fee, like interest. So Pinky's going to say, I want one M&M. Okay, that's an M&M. One M&M, not for the mask, but to borrow the mask because it's Friday and Pinky has a golden weekend and actually it's a vacation week. So Pinky is going to be off of work for 2 weekends and a week, so like 9 straight days, does not need the mask for 9 full days. He says, I just need it back Sunday night before I go back to work on Monday. Okay, so Dinosaur borrows the mask for 9 days. Pinky says, just make sure I have the mask back on Sunday night so I can go back to work. Okay, so now Mr. Dinosaur has the mask, borrowed it, okay, and has 3 M&Ms left instead of the 4. What he's going to do is he's going to sell the mask back to like where it came from, me, the banker. Okay, so he sells it back to me, to the store basically, or to somebody else, it doesn't really matter, at the current market price of $5. Okay, so I get $1, 2, 3, 4, $5 and give it over to Mr. Dinosaur. Okay, so now Mr. Dinosaur has that money, but Pinky here needs the mask back in 9 days. Mr. Dinosaur is hoping that he can buy the mask for like $1 because that's what it used to be, maybe $2. Okay, so Mr. Dinosaur wants the price to go down. He literally wants the company who makes the masks, okay, he basically wants the value of that company to go down. Okay, so he's like betting literally against that company or the mask price because he thinks it's going to go down. So it does go down. Let's say it goes down to $2 because people in China are making all these masks and we just got a shipment of 1 billion masks. So now the price has gone down. They're not nearly in the demand they were because the people who wanted them, a lot of them were able to get their hands on one. There's just a lot less demand. The price goes down to $2 a mask. So now it's like a week later, Mr. Dinosaur says, okay, Mr. Banker guy, store, here's your $2, okay? Buy me a mask. He has the mask again. And then on Sunday, he says, here, Pinky, thanks for letting me borrow your mask. Brand new, good as new. Here's your mask back. And Mr. Pinky goes back to work. So what did Pinky get out of it? Well, he still has the mask he started with, but now he's got an extra M&M. So he got a little bit of a fee there, okay? And he's perfectly happy. He has what he needed whenever he needed it. And then Mr. Dinosaur is happy because now instead of having $5 that he started with, he has $1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $8. Like $1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $8. Right, $5 plus the $5 when he sold it initially, minus the $2 he spent to buy it back. So he went from 5 to up to 8. He made $3 in that transaction. That is called shorting a stock or the mask. If you think something's going to go down in value, you borrow it from somebody for a small fee. You sell it for the current price. You wait for it to go down in value, and then you buy it back at that cheaper price and then give it back to the person you borrowed it from. Now, so he has the $8, but he's down 1 M&M. That was a fee. So it was still worth it because he got $3 gain and lost 1 M&M. 1 M&M is clearly worth less than $3. Otherwise, this bag of M&Ms right here would be a lot of money. Okay. That is shorting. Buying long is buying and holding, planning to sell for a profit. You want the business to do well. You want the company to make more money. You want the value of what you bought to go up. Shorting is the exact opposite. You are borrowing it, you are selling it up front, waiting for it to lose value, hoping it goes down so you can rebuy it cheap, return it, or like unborrow it, and then keep that difference. So in both situations, you're basically buying low and selling high. It's just that when you short it, you're doing it in the opposite order. Okay, fantastic. So now you understand what shorting is, but what's this deal with GameStop and why did it go crazy high up in value? Okay, so first of all, quick backstory. GameStop is a store, a physical brick and mortar store. Brick and mortar stores have been in trouble with COVID, right? People don't go into stores. They also sell games that are like physical games, which back in the day were the only like video games. They were always physical discs. But now so many games are online through the internet, through your phone. People don't need to go to the store to buy a game. So this business has been losing more and more money, kind of like Blockbuster. A lot of people think that this company is going to go out of business, go bankrupt. The value of this company has gotten really low. Earlier this year, on January 4th, the value was $17 per share. Okay, $17 per share. January 4th. Okay. But here on January 27th, it went up to 348. Actually, if you look at it really closely, it went up to $469 a share. Okay, this is absolute nuts, right? The same company, nothing happened to the fundamentals of the company. Okay, so how did this happen? Well, there was, oh, here we go. This is a list of the percent of shares that are currently being shorted. GameStop has 120% of the shares being shorted at the time of this article. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to make this super simple, so I'm going to back up. First of all, you can't have more than 100% in a lot of things in life because by definition, percent means per 100. So how can you have more than 100 per 100? I'll make this simpler to understand. We have 5 masks in total. This is all the masks that exist in the world. And right now, remember this guy here, Mr. Dinosaur? He likes to short things. He's an evil guy. He wants to see companies go down the tubes. He wants people to lose money so he can make money, okay? This guy shorted one mask by buying it for, borrowing it at a sell price of $5 and then returning it after buying it back for $2. Pretend there are 6 dinosaurs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each of them is shorting one of the masks, but there's only 5 masks. Okay, this is absolutely nuts. I don't know how this is even possible. There are literally more contracts out to short a stock than there are actual stocks. So, wow, this is actually a disaster waiting to happen. The other ones that have a high percentage of stocks that are being shorted, the next one on the list was AMC, movie company. On this one, it said 28% short. That is the other one that people are shorting now. But 120%, I think AMC might have been higher before, but 120%, I actually heard GameStop was at 140%. Of the shares were being shorted. 140%. Okay. So people got wind of this because this is not secret information. This is like publicly available information that can be found through whatever sources that people look at. It's not even like illegal hidden information. This is a publicly traded company. These masks are available on Amazon. Okay, so you can see the price of them. So more than 100% of them were short. Okay. So here we go. So Gamestop, okay, or let's say these masks. These masks actually, there was a new person, like CEO of GameStop, and some people thought that he was going to turn the company around by going more online. In other words, some people think this mask is going to go up in value a little bit. But they looked around and saw all these dinosaurs all over with big money. Okay, so Mr. Dinosaur actually has all of this money. Mr. Dinosaur, the hedge funds, say, we're in it to win it. And they think these things are going to go down to zero. Because you know what? Dinosaur thinks that COVID is a hoax and that it doesn't exist and that we don't need masks because there's no such thing as COVID. So once people realize that COVID is not real, nobody will care to wear these masks anymore that you can't breathe in. So the value of them will go immediately to zero and people will go back to just regular surgical masks if they need them because they're doctors in an operating room. Okay? So the price of these will go to zero. This guy's is betting on these going to zero. And not just this guy, but all of his friends and family. Okay, it reminds me of Ratatouille when his brother invites all of the other rats to go in and steal all the food from the restaurant. Okay. So all of these contracts, more short contracts than there are actual masks. Somebody gets wind of this, okay, this guy over here, and he sees all of those shorts, and he has a little confidence that these masks actually might go up in value because he thinks COVID is real and that it's actually going to get worse because, you know what, there is a new strain of COVID that is actually, A, more contagious, so even more need to wear good masks, not just regular masks, but N95 masks. And 2, is also more dangerous, more deadly. Okay, so super important in potentially affecting the value of these masks because there's only so much supply and we're only making them as fast as people are throwing them out. So the value they think is going to go up a little bit, and this guy thinks the value is going to go to zero. All right. So, but this guy doesn't have $1 billion. He only has $5. But you know what? He has a lot of friends on the internet, okay? On this place called Reddit. Reddit is like the front page of the web, per se. And so Mr. Pinky grabbed a hold of like 2 million friends, okay? They all have $5, okay? But there's 2 million of them, okay? And what they decide to do, they are going to start buying all at the same time the masks that are available. Now, the only thing that really affects price of anything is if there's more buyers than sellers or more sellers than buyers. Okay? If 2 million people are trying to buy it all at the same time, and some people aren't selling them, well, it will always go to the highest bidder. So Pinky buys the first mask for, let's say, $1. Pinky's friend buys the mask for $1, but now all of the masks that were $1 are sold out, okay? So then the next person has to buy the mask for $2. And then the next person has to buy it for $3, $4, $5. So they're spending all of their money, okay? Each of them. They're spending all the $5 they have buying out all the masks that they can. And the price starts going up pretty rapidly. Now, part of the problem is they don't have that much money, but they still have enough to buy like one share. Okay. Now this is where it gets crazy. Okay. So all of these pinkies have all of the masks. Now, Mr. Dinosaur is planning on it going down in value. But because all of these guys are fighting, although not really fighting, they are doing this on purpose, but they're all buying at the same time, the price keeps going up. Well, Mr. Dinosaur says, well, I still think COVID is a hoax. I don't care about this new variant. A new variant of a hoax is still a hoax, right? Like -1 times 0 is still 0. -1,000,000 times 0 is still 0. Man, I'm supposed to explain it like I'm 5. 5-year-olds don't know about -1,000,000 yet. But he says, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait because even if the price keeps going up, I still believe it's going to go back down to 0. All these people are paying more and more. They're paying $5 for the mask that somebody could have bought for $1 or could have bought for just one M&M. Well, the problem is Mr. Dinosaur can't just wait for it to go back to 0. This is where it gets good. And this is what reminds me of chess. In chess, like if you study chess and you're doing puzzles, it'll say checkmate in 3 moves. If you make one particular right move, then you should be able to mate the person in 3 moves because all of the next moves of the opponent will be forced. There will be no choice. This is what happens. The price of the mask goes up from $1 to $2 to $3 to $4 to $5. Guess what? Mr. Dinosaur bought the contract to short this when it was only $1, okay? And Mr. Dinosaur, this Mr. Dinosaur, let's pretend 4, 5. Okay, I'm gonna give this dinosaur 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 $20 bills here, okay? 5 $20 bills. So these are contracts. So this is $100, okay? $100 of real cash. $100 because this dinosaur is a hedge fund. He's got big pockets and he bought a contract on like 100 masks, thinking that because these were like $100, let's say, thinking that 100 masks are going to go down to 0. But you know what? It's actually 1,000 masks because when you're buying the contract, it's super cheap. It's just like this one M&M. So he gets a contract for 1,000 masks to go from $1 and thinking they're going to go down in value. What happens is as these masks go up from $1 to $2 to $3 to $4 to $5, he had to get that contract for all of those masks, okay? So he basically is controlling like 1,000 masks. And he has this contract with the banker, it's gonna be me, that he borrowed the masks from me and he's gonna give them back to me, 1,000 masks. But the problem is, the banker, I see all the stash of money he has, and I know that he doesn't have $5,000, okay? Because he has 1,000 masks that he's a contract for. And they're each worth $5 now, and he doesn't have $5,000. So, or let's say he has exactly $5,000. I can tell him, you know what? If this goes up to $6, you're not going to be able to afford the contracts anymore. So I'm going to force you to close out the contract, and I want all of those masks that you're controlling, 1,000 masks, I want all of those masks back now. Even though they're $5, I don't trust you're going to be able to get the masks back to me. So when I make that deal with him, he promises to give it back to me, and it can be a time limit, but I can also potentially require him to give them back to me sooner if I'm worried that he can't pay for them. Well, they got so expensive, I'm worried he doesn't have enough money to pay for them. So I'm going to tell him I want the masks back now, but he doesn't actually have the masks because he sold them, okay, for $1 each at the beginning, thinking they were going to go to zero, but now they're $5. So he has to come up with the $5,000. And well, guess what? So he digs through all of his bank accounts, and he finds $5,000. Okay, $5,000 of money. He has to spend $5,000 of money to get all of the masks back to him so that he can give them back to me. How much money does he have left? He has no money left. I got all my masks back, and now the hedge fund is broke. Well, something else happens here. He can't actually buy 1,000 masks all for $5, because remember what happens. You buy the first one for $5, but now there's one less seller. The next mask sells for $5.50, then $6, then $7, then $8. By the time he buys all 1,000 masks, the average price per mask was $10 a mask. And he didn't actually have $10,000. So you know what he actually had to do is he had to borrow money from somebody else to cover that. So he found his other hedge fund buddy to loan him money so that he could pay off and buy all those masks to return because he had to pay them back. And after buying those 1,000 masks, now the masks are selling at a price of $15. So in the exact process of this dinosaur buying back the 1,000 masks to give back to the original person, because he had to buy all those masks at the same time, the price went up more. So it went down to up to $15. So when I was talking about the chess analogy, once all those people bought the masks at the same time, they knew exactly what would happen. Because the price was going to get bumped up, there were going to be some short sellers here who are going to get forced out of their contracts, and they would have to buy back the stock and return them. And when that happens, the stock would go up more. Now it went from 5 to 15. So what happened next? The next hedge fund company, dinosaur number 2, he can't cover his contracts either. So he has to borrow money from somebody else and buy back all of the masks that he had contracts for so he can return them back to me. Because what did I do? I forced him to return them early because I know he's broke. He doesn't have enough money to cover all of those masks anymore. So now in returning me 1,000 masks, the price went from $15 to $20. And when that happened, the third hedge fund got called, and I said, dinosaur number 3, give me your masks, because now that is $20, and I know you don't have enough money to buy all of those. Gather everything you can, buy back all the masks you might need to borrow from a friend, and then return the masks to me. And by buying 1,000 masks back all at the same time, now the masks are up to $25. And now hedge fund number 4 has gotten called by me because I know he doesn't have enough money to cover all of his masks. So now hedge fund number 4 has to do the same thing. And every time they do this, they're basically covering or they're closing out their contracts. They're buying more masks. all at the same time, driving the price higher and higher. And every time it goes up, somebody else has to sell because they can't afford the amount of money they will owe. The problem with shorting a company is that you have to buy it back at whatever the price is. You can lose infinite dollars. Infinite. If you go long and you buy a mask for $1 and the mask goes down to 0 in price, you've only lost $1. But if you try to short a mask at $1, okay, and it goes up to $1,000, you have to pay $1,000. If it goes up to $1 million, you have to pay $1 million to get that mask back. It just keeps going and going. It can go to infinity. So this is unbelievable that, I mean, if you're new to investing or you don't know what you're doing, you never short anything because the downside risk is infinite. You can literally lose all of your money by shorting one stock if it goes high enough in price. Now, every single time a hedge fund had to give up their money to buy all these shares, it kept getting higher and higher. And so you see the spike that you saw, it went up to $400 plus. $400 plus has nothing to do with the value of the company. It only has to do with the fact that these hedge funds had to buy back shares very rapidly because the Wall Street bets guys from Reddit were buying all of theirs very quickly, driving up the price, and they were getting called to cover their contracts immediately at whatever price it was, whatever the market price was at that moment, and it would go up. The same thing happens when Warren Buffett buys stock in a company. He buys a whole bunch of shares. So like those shares can actually go up in value in the process. Now, he can potentially negotiate something so it doesn't do that, but anybody who's trying to buy a bunch of shares of something all at once is not going to get the same price for every one. The first one will be market price. The next one will be higher because the new market price is going to go up because there's one less seller in the pool, every share that's bought. Okay? So it was a forced phenomenon. All these people are basically buying the shares go up, other people are forced to buy, shares keep going up. And it's a bubble bursting, right? But it's just forced, like it is in a chess game where when you have a mate in 3, like you know that these companies are shorting the stock and you know how much money the companies have. And if they don't have enough money to cover it, you can force them at any time to pay it back if they can't cover it. So basically you have to use up whatever money they had left. This is what happened to Melvin Capital. They needed $3 billion basically. And they took, basically, at least from my understanding, it basically took like all of their money. Like I think they had to sell it at $90 a share. This was 2 days ago. And cost them $3 billion, and they got a $3 billion infusion from 2 of their competitors. Okay, two other hedge funds. Okay, so what's going to happen? The price keeps going up, and more hedge funds go, not necessarily bankrupt, but even if they're not forced to sell, some of them are selling to get out as fast as they can to decrease the bleeding, right? Like while they can afford it. Because if it keeps going up, if it goes up to 1,000 or 2,000, like it just keeps going on and it never goes on. Like it could go on to infinity as long as people are buying the shares. Now, what happens when people see the price going up? Everybody wants in on this. So everybody on Robinhood can be going and buying shares. And what happens when all these people on Robinhood are buying shares because they see it going up? Well, now it just keeps going up even faster because people want to get in on the going up, even though it has no fundamental improvement of the value of the company. The company is expected to return $0 in dividends to their shareholders this year. And next year, basically like $1.20 per share, I think. But the price was $400+ for a share earlier today, I think. $400+ a share, and next year is going to have earnings of like $1 a share. We're talking about like $300+ in price for $1 of earnings. Like that ratio, that PE ratio, 300, that is, nobody would ever invest in something with a PE ratio of 300. You will never get your money back. Like literally, you will never get your money back because it would take you 300 years to get your money back. Okay. So all these people, not just Wall Street bets now, all these other people are seeing what's happening. So they're pouring more and more money in because they want to become super rich fast, right? And the hedge fund companies, they're losing their shirt. They're losing literally billions of dollars. And when will this end? Well, obviously, the company's not worth that much money. So what's going to happen is the people who bought it for $300 a share, they're like, okay, I need to sell this out like now and get my $300 back before I lose it all, because it can't keep going up. I mean, maybe it can, right? But who's gonna, when someone's paying $300 for a share, is someone gonna pay tomorrow $1,000 for that share? Who knows? But at some point, people are gonna say, okay, this is stupid. I'm not spending $1,000 for a company that's gonna earn $0 this year and $1 a share next year. That might not even be in business next year. So what happened? Well, Robinhood, which is like the easiest way to buy an option or a stock in like of any company, they actually shut down today transactions, from my understanding. I don't have a Robinhood account, but they basically locked down purchases of Gamestop. They might have of AMC. I'm not sure. I don't know if they stopped selling it, but I think they stopped buying it. And then I saw an article that they're allowing limited amounts, so that people can't just like bum rush the whole thing. And okay, so what's going to happen is some people are going to make a ton of money because they sell it at a high price and they bought it at a low price. Some people are going to lose a bunch of money because they were shorting it, okay, or because they're buying it now at a high price and it's going to go down, and then they're going to sell it at a low price, so they're going to lose a bunch of money. Or they're going to buy it at a high price and they're going to sit on it, and they're just going to say, oh, I'm going to wait for it to come back. The company was never worth anywhere near that amount of money. The only reason it went up was because other companies were forced to cover, and it kept driving up the price, and other people kept jumping in, riding this wave, this surge of price going up because they wanted to get in on it. And FOMO is like one of the strongest forces in all of nature. Is second to like inertia, right? And then like maybe entropy. Like these three things pretty much govern everything. So people are going to make a bunch of money. People are going to lose a bunch of money. And basically none of it will actually have to do with the company. The company is literally just a piece of paper that is in the middle of this whole phenomenon because 140% of the shares were being shorted all at the same time, had short contracts. Like when there's that many shares with short contracts, everybody is betting against this company, asking for it to fail so they can make money, to the extent that there's more contracts than there are actual shares. This shouldn't be possible, but it was, and people got together, and it's unbelievable the power of individuals when they actually work together. If you watch like an ant farm, ants are unbelievable, okay? They literally think as a group. It's an unbelievable thing to see. Like humans can't do that. But when they do, it's unbelievable the power that happens. You see, I mean, these people got together on the internet, made it happen. You can have one person like do a bad review on a company, and then somebody else does it, and then, or let's say a bad story comes out about somebody, and then a bunch of people go leave negative reviews of this company on Google and whatever, and just tear this company apart. The company basically goes out of business, right? Just because a bunch of people do something. Like I've seen this happen to doctors who talk about vaccines in a pro-vaccine way, and all these anti-vax people come out and basically ruin their online profiles of these doctors. Individuals as a group working together can be unbelievably powerful, especially when there's a setup like here where more than 100% of the shares were being shorted at the same time. So a lot of people were handing it to these hedge funds who are literally betting against the companies, betting the companies are going to go out of business. When you're a business and all of these people are expecting you and banking on you to go bankrupt, that's not a very good feeling that people want you to lose. And literally, if you think about all the billions of dollars in these hedge funds, what they can do to influence other people to help make sure you lose, it's unbelievable. It's, a lot of people would say it's not fair. But yeah, if you have billions of dollars of money expecting you to lose a game, well, they can like spend money like training your opponents to beat you, right? They can make other companies stronger so that you are weaker. Like the power of this is really overwhelming, and it really does drive a lot of companies. Like they may not necessarily have gone bankrupt, but after you have all of this pressure, it can certainly accelerate the process of going in that direction. Okay. Okay, that is it for today. I probably should have done this like yesterday, but I worked super late yesterday. Now there's like all this other news that I can't keep up with about this. And now everybody's getting up on like AMC Entertainment. There are so many other companies. They're going to go one by one. Bed Bath & Beyond has 63% being shorted. A lot of people aren't going into malls, and Bed Bath & Beyond is one of those places where like you have to smell the things and feel the things. It's like a brick and mortar store. People don't, don't go online and you buy lotions. I guess you do if you're already a buyer, but the stores are there to convince people to become buyers. That's part of their business model, right? Okay. Questions here. Yes, I don't trade GameStop, but I don't trade GameStop, but I don't think Robinhood should stop buy orders. Yeah, Robinhood is a company. I think it says in their agreement they can do these things, but yeah, Pinky is the hero. Yes, that's the moral of the story. It's also interesting the way Robinhood makes money. Robinhood does not, charge transaction fees, which is why so many people buy and sell things on the app, and it's so easy, and they make it kind of gamified, so it's a little bit addicting, like Candy Crush. They make money because this other company called like Citron something processes all the orders. So if you think about it, you're just putting an order on an app, but then someone's got to process the buy and the sell. Every individual stock has a buy price and a sell price, and there's a gap in the middle called the spread. If you are in charge of all the buys and the sells, then you get to keep the spread on all of those transactions. So you get the spread and you get all the market information of what people are doing. If you have that information, it may seem like, or maybe it doesn't, but it could seem like that's not that big of a deal. But if you have a 1% edge on a transaction over and over and over and over again, it's incredibly powerful when you're talking about billions of dollars. Okay. This is the most beautiful display of capitalism I've ever seen, never short, because sometimes us little people join together. Yeah, so like Lemmings, this is like an old video game from when I was a kid, but Lemmings is basically like human ants. You just got all these people like walking like robots, and they care about the group, they don't care about themselves. So you literally have people fall off cliffs, okay? But if it's for the sake of the group, they'll do it. People were buying higher and higher prices of the shares for the sake of the group to do this. Real life trading places scenario with Randolph and Mortimer Duke losing everything. You know what? I haven't actually seen that episode or movie. I should see it. Robinhood is only allowing selling or liquidation. Okay, how is this not market manipulation? I don't use Robinhood or have GME stock. Okay, so if that's what's going on, they're only allowing you to sell. Well, yeah, that's definitely going to drive the price down because now you have more sellers than you have buyers, or at least you have a pool of people who can sell but not buy. So the denominator, if those are the sellers, is a bigger pile than the numerator, or however you want to think about it. And remember, price is always about the ratio of buyers to sellers, right? If there's more buyers at a price than sellers, then the price will go down. If there's more sellers at a price than buyers, okay, yeah. So if there's more buyers than there are sellers, the price will, if there's more buyers, there's a lot of people with money that it'll get bid up. If there's a lot of sellers, it'll get bid down. Okay. Frozen concentrated OJ. See, I need to figure out who the Facebook users are. Victor might be too young for trading places. I don't know. I'm a man of the 80s, but all of the 80s. Okay. These hedges have to buy back the 140% of stock. So won't the retailers that own the stock be almost guaranteed to make a killing? This is a really interesting thing. So retailers, so when you own a company and you go public with it, okay, so let's say I start a company called 39.6 and there's one share. And when I open it up, it's worth $1 because that's how much I put into the bank account. Okay, no, $1,500 because that's the minimum, okay, let's say at the bank. But then I start actually becoming profitable because people decide to, let's say I decide to have subscribers like Z-Dog has, okay? And I have like 10 people who watch my show and are willing to pay me $5 a month. So now I have $50 a month of subscribers, which can basically pay for my internet bill. But now my company is worth, let's say, $1,000. Oh no, I already had 1,500. Let's say it's worth $5,000 because I'm bringing $600 a year and I have a brand, so it's worth 5,000. I own the entire company, one share. Now that one share is worth 5,000 bucks. What I can do is I can split my company up into 1,000 shares at $5 a share. And then I can decide to go public and release 500 of the shares to the public and keep 500 shares to myself. Okay, so those are still privately held basically, and the other 500 are all public. And once I do that, I do my initial public offering with 500 shares, 499 shares because I need to keep majority. 499 shares get sent to the public. And what that does is I sell them at the initial public offering price. So people on the inside, I say, hey, I'm going to sell these at, each of these shares is, they're $5, they're worth $5 each, but I'm going to say, I'm going to sell them at $10 each, okay? They're going to have them at $10 each, and once they buy them at the initial public offering price at $10, I don't own those shares ever again unless I buy them back. If the price goes up, what's happening is somebody is buying it from one of those people. It's not me, okay? So the retailer, like the company who owns the stock in the first place, like the company of the stock, like so Gamestop doesn't make any money on it because it's not their shares. Vanguard or Fidelity or whomever, they don't actually, I mean, they're just the broker in here. They're the middleman. They get the processing fee. But every time these people are, when they're buying back the shares, they are literally buying it back from the other people who own it. So the people, this is what's so confusing, but these publicly traded companies, these systems we have through Vanguard, Fidelity, E-Trade, they are allowing the transfer of shares amongst all the people who already own them, because their brokerage basically has like accounting of wherever these shares are. So that money those hedge funds are spending, those are going to other individuals who are buying, who are literally selling their shares off, because when someone's buying, somebody's selling. It happens in real time, in like microseconds, with many, many people. And the trading volume of GameStop on Robinhood yesterday was like through the roof. Like something like, I don't know, like millions of trades in one day on one stock, like just overwhelming number of trades. So there are buys and sells that are happening every single second at whatever price. And there's always a tiny little spread there, that bid and ask spread, the bid by the buyer and the ask by the seller. There's a little gap. And the people who are controlling those shares, that Citron company, they're making a killing, right? The middlemen are the ones who are always making the money because they don't have anything to lose. They're just the middlemen. Yeah, I've never had this many people in the room at once. Trading Places needs to be your next date night movie, Victor. Classic Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. Sounds good. I don't know if my wife even knows who Dan Aykroyd is. Knows Eddie Murphy though. Okay. Meaning people buying the stock, reading Reddit, Wall Street Bets. Yeah. So those people who are anybody who's buying is spending their money. Anybody who's selling is getting money back. And when these retailers, when these hedge funds have to buy those shares, it's the people selling at a profit who are making all of that money. So that's how you make a ton of money, because the stock is going up in value and you sell it at a higher value. You make money on the spread. All right. I don't think I've done an episode nearly this long in a very long time. Not since the very beginning, when I used to do like multiple questions per episode. But this was a really fun one. I learned a lot reading and learning and studying to do this. Because it's not something I do. I don't do options. Although options can be an excellent way to preserve wealth when you have a bunch of wealth. I mentioned that previously in a different episode, but short selling is not for anybody who is not super experienced, because the downside risk is infinite. If you only learn one thing, don't short sell. Okay, you could do like a put option, but that has a limited downside, not a short sell. All right, none of this is legal, financial, accounting, any other advice. Entertainment for me, maybe for you. Until tomorrow, episode number 160, I think. All right, have a good night.